restoration and enlightenment. That's you, that's us. Hey, T is in the building. Our Pam is in the building. Cousin Robin's in the community. Pam Lucas is in the community. So many beautiful spirits and faces all here on a Friday evening. We are so excited to kick it around with you. Remember, join us. This is all for us, you, me, the we, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at TheCoreofU, TheOF. Oh, The Core.
Yeah, TheCore of the letter U.
Yeah.
CORE of the letter U.
On the website too.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, so wifey, no, I'm gonna let you, cause this is a excellent topic. The topic for today, we hope, as always, we hope everybody is doing well. We hope that this Friday that you just filled with love and with joy, and most importantly, we always hope that you have peace in your heart and in your home. So the topic for today for our Friday CoreofU Friday conversation is wifey's topic today: to ring or not to ring. That is the title: to ring or not to ring.
And what we mean by that is, hold up your fingers, Faye.
Oh, your wedding or engagement or
promise.
Oh, you don't have yours on.
Exactly. To ring or not to ring. So this could be, a subject of controversy if you don't get ahead of it and discuss it. So, I think that I told my husband going in, I switch up my jewelry a lot. I take it off at night, especially once I started having the littles. I'm doing hair, I'm wiping heinies, I'm doing things, and I just don't always have my jewelry on. So you can catch me on any given day out of the house without my ring.
No doubt.
And I know some people will be like, you don't have your ring on. What is that about?
Right.
And so you even got approached recently jokingly. Somebody was like, where's your ring?
No, they weren't joking. They were serious. We were at a family gathering or whatever, and somebody came up to me. I didn't have my ring on. B, my wife was standing right next to me at the time. We were trying to get food, and they were like, "Where's your ring?" And I'm like, and they were like loud, and it was like in front of everybody, and they were kind of like upset at me because I didn't have my ring on. And I'm like, well, calm down. And I'm gonna tell you, and it was a female. I'm gonna be really honest. My response in my head was, "It's none of your business," because my wife is right here and she's cool. She's not tripping, so why are you tripping? But I said, "Oh, I don't have it on." And then I found myself explaining a little bit, which I wish I didn't. It's a big thing for some people.
For some
people, but let's just say, so when we first got together, we had a conversation about rings and all of that, and we had already decided. I'll tell you, this is why I have this on, right? So this is a silicone ring that I have on. The reason I have this silicone ring, and I have like 3 or 4 more in the room. This one is navy blue. I have a black one, a gray one, and like a burgundy one, and then another color one, like a brown one. The reason I purchased these was because my hands swell. My fingers, I should say. My fingers swell a lot. I get that, unfortunately, from my mother. She used to say it all the time. She would have her ring on and her fingers would swell, especially when it's warm. Well, guess what, folks? I don't live in Michigan anymore. I live in California, where it is always warm. So my fingers swell a lot in the heat. So, wifey actually bought me a ring for our wedding. I don't wear it a lot because it would swell, and my fingers would swell,
get it off,
and it would hurt. A couple of times couldn't get it off, a couple of times couldn't put it on. It really would hurt, and I could be at work or whatever, and it would be like my fingers would be like throbbing. But for some people, that's a big thing. That's a no-no. That's like, you do not do it. You leave out the house, you sleep with it, you shower with it.
They feel like it's very tied to the commitment, and it's interesting because there is a new film out. The one that we saw, it's kind of got like a Padreal theme, and there's a key part in the movie where when he's out with his boys, they're like, man, I need you to be free. I need you to think. And his best friend comes over, takes his wedding ring off, and puts it in his pocket. We watched this together. I don't want to give it away. In case people, I don't want to be a spoiler alert.
Right.
But the point is, this is why this could be a big deal, because if you come home without your ring, people might always say, like, what are you doing, some dirt? Why don't you have your ring on?
Right.
So it's definitely something that everybody needs to address ahead of time. And whether it could be fill in the blank, whatever that special thing is your significant other gives you, that to you signifies, okay, everything's good. But ring, wedding ring, engagement ring, promise ring, people put a lot of weight on that. And I would encourage you to just take your temperature early on about what that means to you, so you can head off any issues later on.
No doubt.
If that ring is not on your finger, and if that's something that's really important to you and signifies commitment.
So let's hear from y'all, man. Let's hear from the TheCoreofU family to ring. Oh, we got Kayla on here. She's a newlywed, so we would like to hear. We would like to hear from everybody on here. We have Rose Lady on. What's up? What's up, family? Hey, Rose Lady.
We got Asia
We got Asia in the building. We got Eddie all the way from Africa in the building.
Family.
Auntie Pam, family in the building. So this is the question, Tareen. Is there an expectation that listen, and anybody can answer this. If you're married, if you're not married, if you plan to get married one day, or maybe you've been married and you don't never want to get married again, you still could answer this question. What is your take, your stance, your expectation on your significant other wearing their wedding ring? Do you feel they have to have it on? Do you feel if they don't have it on, it means automatically that they're looking to cheat? What is your take? What is your stance on it? I do not wear my ring all the time, but I explained this to my wife in the beginning, and we had a very good conversation about it. She didn't trip on it. I was like, whew, thank you, Lord. It wasn't a big deal. But I had, actual physical reasons why I did not have it on. Now I have this though. So I actually wear my rings a lot more now, because I have this silicone ring so when my fingers do swell, it's rubber, so it just swells with it. The one thing about this is really cheap. I'm going to be really brutally honest. For the 5 rings that I have, I paid $25 for these things on Amazon, and they came like 3 days later. You know what I mean? Wifey actually bought me a ring that costs, a little money with some diamonds in it. You know what I mean? Costs a little bit. I can't wear it all the time. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I can't. I'll get into some more things physically that happen.
Not one, two. We got a good comment.
Yeah. For me, Cousin Robin said, for me, I would wonder why the person does not wish to wear the ring. It does symbolize a promise. So if you do not plan to wear it in your marriage, why exchange rings in the beginning? Love that. Love that. Love that. Now, for us, we didn't emphasize on the ring part. We emphasized on our commitment to one another. So the ring thing wasn't a big thing for us. We didn't get crazy with it in our wedding. We really didn't. We didn't do traditional vows and all of that. We didn't. We made our own. We made our own. I sung a song. We went different because, listen, I've been married before. So I've been married before and had 2 rings on and still cheated. So, hey, judge me if you want. That was me. That was back then. That was my past. So the ring at that time,
and I'm
didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? And so,
and thank you for the honesty, because there are, girls, some of you may have those friends. There are guys, some of you may have it. There are some people that target married people.
Oh, I know some. I know I've been around women that say I would rather the man have a ring on. That way, when I'm done with him, using him for whatever I'm using him for, I can send him home. He's going to go home to his wife. The single guys might stalk me, might try to be around, they might have expectations. And so
there's some people that specifically target married individuals. So you need to be wary of that.
Yes.
Also, let me ask you this. As a man, we talked about this a couple of Core Fridays ago. We talked about, is it always appropriate for just one sex, typically the man, to propose to the other sex? With that in mind, that traditionally it is the man doing the proposing, has it ever made you feel a certain way in this marriage or the past that like there's a lot of emphasis on if you don't wear the ring that this man gave you? Like, oh, why wouldn't you want to wear the ring I gave you? You know what I mean?
No, I mean for me that was never ever a thing. But I'm another moment of honesty. You know, I used to be a police officer, and I wore my ring pretty faithfully. We got into uh a bar fight with a group of people one night, and we were there to break up something. They started fighting us. I got into it with one of these guys. He was a lot bigger than me. Tried to grab him up. I actually, took him down, did my thing or whatever. But I somehow in that little, situation, I hit him, he hit me, something happened. I would have bet you any amount of money in the world that my finger was broken. My finger swole up. I had to actually try to like get soap and lotion and all that stuff to take the ring off. I actually went to the hospital, went to the emergency room for it. I thought it was broken.
So,
I was like, this was for
it's not conducive.
Yeah, I was like, this, my finger is broken. And so after that, I didn't wear it anymore. You know what I mean? I really, really didn't. I didn't, and it was because I was really, really afraid. I know somebody. True story. I know somebody that worked in a factory, had their ring on, because of their ring, put their hand in something. It caught there and almost cut their whole hand off. And so he was like, no, I can't. But him and his wife had that understanding. I think what we're trying to say is you have to have that understanding with your significant other.
Yes.
Like with most things, right? We got some comments in here. Let's read some of these comments.
Ones. I got one from Sister T. Denise. She says, stereotypes. When married, men or women don't wear their rings, it's automatically viewed as, oh, they're trying to cheat or having marital issues, not knowing the understanding that the married couple has. I personally say you only have to trust one person. I personally don't think it makes a difference because some people don't care about whether they have a ring on or not.
Right.
So you definitely, I mean, to the point, you got a comment to you and they had no idea, knowing like I could care less. I don't even see when he has it on or not.
Right.
And sometimes it takes me a minute to, oh man, I didn't have my ring on today. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's what I'm saying. So I mean, for me, so now because of the mistakes that I made in my past, and I'm open with my mistakes that I made in my past, because of that, my emphasis was on love, faithfulness, integrity. Being there for my wife. Being true to myself first, you know what I mean? All of these things. So to me, the ring for me didn't mean that I did buy my wife a ring. I spent, some nice money for it because I wanted her to have that. We're going on our 10 years next year anniversary. We'll probably get her a new one. We'll probably re-up our vows, all of those things. And those things are nice because they're symbols of the commitment. But if you spend $50,000 on a ring and there's no love and faithfulness, what does it matter? I guess that's what we're saying, So I guess our hope and our encouragement for this is we hope that if you're going to give a ring to a person, before you give them the ring and spend whatever amount of money you're going to spend on them, we hope that you're true and that you're real and that you're authentic and that you operate in love, because it doesn't matter. If you can have a ring on every finger and still be a person that's not unfaithful.
And it's not bad. If it does mean a lot to you, then let your significant other know.
Absolutely.
It's not, let's swing this pendulum the other way. If that's something that just feels right, to the point made earlier by Cousin Robin, I think let the person know that too, because it can be hurtful.
Yes.
if you guys equate that to, this is something we did, this is a symbol of our promise, our commitment, and then the other person doesn't even realize it because they might be more like in my mindset, so that they're at least aware that this is important to my person, and if it's important to my person, it should be important to me. Robin says, I think some men think that way. That is why they pursue married women and vice versa. I mean, there's definitely people that I'll be with, back in the day for sure. Some of my girlfriends, they just always noticed when someone had a ring or not. And I'm like, oh yeah, I never did.
And there are some people that ring watch. Let's be honest. I mean, you be out there and they do. They look, oh girl, he married. All right, leave him alone. Or girl, he not. Now I'm telling you. Now there was a time in my life. I wasn't always a knucklehead, right? There was a time in my life when I did or would meet when I was single would meet a young lady, and that would be my first question out of my mouth. Maybe you couldn't see their hands or their fingers, so you just be like, "Hey, are you spoken for?" You know what I mean? I ain't even trying to get your name and all that. Are you spoken for? And then if their answer was no, I'm not, I'm single. Okay, then well, how you doing? My name is, what you doing here, whatever. And then it would lead into other things, whatever. So you really, really have to be. I think you just have to know you and your relationship. There are some women that I met because I don't wear my ring all the time. So there are some women that I met that would be like, no, we can never be married. And now if my wife has actually seen my fingers swollen, you know what I mean? She's actually seen my fingers swollen. I'm like, babe, look, she's seen them, and so she knows. So I'm not faking it. I'm not lying, you know what I mean? But there are some women that are like, that is a deal breaker. So you got to know that for yourself. If that's a deal breaker, I think that's something you need to talk about. That goes back to when we first started these Core of You Friday conversations. Communication, effective communication. You must have that in your relationship. Effective communication, so that you know what you're dealing with. Who we got?
And I guess if you could take anything away, no subject is off limits.
No subject. Love that.
Trezina says it's a symbol of infinity. So again, for y'all just joined us, we're talking about the to ring or not to ring, wearing your wedding ring, your engagement ring, your promise ring, or those who have been married, plan to get married. You don't have to be in the situation to have an opinion on that. So Trezina said it's a symbol of infinity. Also, considering it's a symbol, what can a couple do that can't afford rings?
Hey, you see, I love that. And I've seen people go and I've seen people do something really cheap, like I've seen them take a string and put it around each finger because they really couldn't afford it. And so they were more in a place to afford the wedding. And they were like, we'll get rings later on when we get there. Let's just get married. And they took string and tied it around each finger. And that meant whatever it meant to them. I've seen people get tattoos around their fingers. It was a lot cheaper. You know what I mean? That probably would hurt like heck, but I've seen people do that. So it's all about what you want.
On the body. It could just be
or anywhere else. Yeah, and I've seen people to say, no, we're not going to do rings at all. I've also seen two people say, no, we must have rings. We're going to have the ceremony. We're going to talk about it. You have to keep it on. You have to do what you need to do for your relationship. Cousin Robin said that's true. A ring represents a promise of faithfulness. So if the people in a relationship are not truly committed, a ring does not matter. And I agree with that 1000%.
Next comment.
Oh, that's good. However, I have encountered men who see my ring and they don't care. Well, cuz we know that those men, hey, listen, I was one of those men at one point in time, maybe at some point in time that might have not cared, So,
but, I mean, understand your ring could make you
attractable. It could really make you attractive, I should say. It could really make you attractive to some people like, hey, she got a ring on. I want to get with her. Definitely.
So,
LaWanda said, my husband and I went to the flea market and put them on layaway. That was 31 years ago. You know what, LaWanda? I'm cracking up with you in that layaway because I seen your post earlier this week about your daughter not knowing what layaway was or is. That's so funny. But yes, you might need to put them on layaway. I mean, the question you would have to ask yourself is this, is my love on layaway too? Is my love on layaway? Is our faithfulness on layaway? Is our integrity on layaway? And if you really love one another, that's really where it begins. Even a wedding ceremony, so let's be honest, a wedding ceremony means nothing if it's not founded in love and integrity and faithfulness and people being authentic. You can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a wedding, and if there's no love there, no authenticity, then you just really it's just
I do. Basically, that was it. Y'all did it, and it was done.
There it is.
It was all about the show, and it had nothing to do with what was really going on.
So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? How did you feel before you and I got together about this, about rings?
It's interesting. I would say that in my early 20s, there was a big emphasis on kind of like being chosen and like getting a promise ring. I just know that was a big thing at that time in my life. So I will say, live a little. When you live a little, you know, because I've been in that spot where I've had 2 guys, college and then grad school, give rings or give promise of rings, but the relationship was founded on instability, insecurity, and infidelity. So I'm wearing the ring, but all the while inside I'm like, I can't trust this man the minute he walks out the door. But this was just like me trying to hold on to some promise of maybe he'll be faithful one day. So I have definitely been in that seat. And I think that my whole paradigm shifted, kind of kissing enough frogs. I mean, for me, it was even where I was willing to put it all on the line and not have children, not get married, just to have my peace. Because I had compromised and been in enough situations where I understood at the end of the day, I did not have to just be with anybody.
There it is.
And so I think and I'm saying it was a process for me, because at one point it might have been important. And I know even when we were deciding to get married, we had a lot of considerations in terms of how much we wanted to be able to make sure after we weren't in debt, we could still be in a position to buy a house, and how much of is this going to be too much on our union starting out in a hole? We didn't want to do that. So there's a lot of things. So my priorities were different back in them promise ring days than it was when we got married. And I think by the time that we got there, I mean, case in point, you didn't even know what kind of ring I like, because I had never even looked into that. I know some, and nothing taken away from women who they may not know their exact ring. They may have all had it picked out. It just wasn't my focus at that point.
And then here's Trazina said there are some women, man, I've met some women like this too. Well, not really too many men, but I've met some women. Some women won't marry a man if it's not a certain carat. I knew a girl like that she was like, no, if it ain't like over 2.5 carats, this letter, flawless, this, and then she was like picking out, and it has to be from like this store or this store or that, and I was like, wow, yeah, okay, your focus, and I'm, just talking to her, and she was a friend. I was like, well, what about love? Well, yeah, we'll get to that. I'm like, no, wait a minute. Well, what about love?
We can do a whole topic, and we should, about no romance without finance.
Oh, that's a Bishop Cox.
There are a lot of people who get stuck there, and we should bring in some panelists for that. Those that marry for money and those that marry for love.
Ooh, that's a Bishop Cox sermon right there.
But
he would say, no. Romance without finance is a nuisance.
So I will say though, now, like, once we had to talk about it and we knew, and I don't even know how intentional it was, it just took a lot of pressure off of me. I didn't even, because the ring that you bought me had the band built into it, but we, there's some things that kind of, I would say, got put into our relationship because we married a little younger, and some people were like, come on, this is tradition, why don't you do it? And I did. I succumbed to some of that. I was like, all right, I'll do it, but it really wasn't my thing. But if it was important enough to someone close to me, I was like, well, all right, I'll go for it. But I'm telling you, I could take that or leave that. I didn't have to have a wedding band. I didn't have to have certain things.
And look, we got a lot of comments coming in. Wasted your money? Yeah, I did, Auntie. You ain't got to bring that up. Cousin says, my cousin says his integrity is his ring. He knows he's married. This is a great topic. The perspectives. And you know what? Ladies, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to be really fully honest with you on this, and which we always try to do. So I don't have to keep saying that, right? We try to be honest as much. I know some brothers, real talk, when they got that ring, They were who they were, right? I ain't gonna get into all of it. They were who they were. They got that ring on their finger, and wow, they changed. It was no more extra, no side women. It was no extra activities. It was none of that. And I was like, and you would be around them, they like, and then when you would ask, hey man, we hanging out. Nah, man, they'd be like, where you going? If we gonna go over here, man. Oh man, I already know what's going on over there, man. Nah, y'all single. I'm good. And they would do this. Nah, bro, I'm good. And you you would have to do nothing but respect
So
it.
what do you think that's about? Do you think...
I just think, as Tasha said, that it's a person's perspective. What does the ring mean to you? And I think that's why this is such a great conversation, because what does it mean to you? What does the wedding ceremony mean to you? Right? What does... I can tell you guys this, having children, oh my Lord. First getting married and finding somebody that was my equal and doing that definitely altered me. But I was also already maturing and getting to a different stage in life anyway. Having children did something way different for me. It just totally did. Watching my wife have my children did something did something for me. That just like, wow, 22 and a half hours, 18 an hour. So you're talking about a total of 40 hours plus of her being in labor. That done something for me. And so
all
my
right, y'all,
perspective.
Wait, pause.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to play that over and over. I'm be like, babe, can you go? Oh, I need this on the way home, honey. And I'm
Oh,
play that
Lord,
for
I done put my foot in my mouth.
Right? Y'all heard it here. He said,
Well, listen,
remember?
it did something for me. Like, my whole perspective on women, when you know, like this whole thing of like women can't do this, women can't do that. My whole perspective on that, I guess I don't know if I really had an opinion before, but I definitely am like, man, I will never tell a woman that she can or can't do whatever she wants to do with her body after watching you go through that. So there are things that it just depends on the perspective of the person. So I know some men definitely change when they got that ring on. And they were like, nah, bruh, no, this ring, it mean too much. And that to them, that was a part of their commitment. And you have to do nothing but just take your hat off and say, that's what's up. For me, the ring didn't really mean much to me at all. It's about the commitment. It's about love.
So you had to grow into being a husband.
Absolutely.
And it didn't matter when, it didn't matter if the ring came, and if you hadn't grown into that mindset, you weren't ready.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, we need to explore what you said further, because I feel like we've talked about this and we've seen some of this. We have definitely ran across some of that even in our coaching, where there is like this whole set of standards that come with
expectations
that come with, we did this when we were dating, but wait a minute, now that we're married, this is what I expect.
Yeah.
So similar, so I can understand what you're saying when someone is like, I'm about to do this all the way different. Now what I would question is that behavior going to sustain? So that's, you know how they be like, where are they now? So we kind of need to like put a little pin right there and be like, where are those boys now?
Right.
Did they stick with it?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So
right.
that's what I would be curious, and that's when we coach people. We tell them often, like, you have to be in an altar mindset before you get to the altar. Like, nothing is going to magically happen when you jump that broom.
Right.
The broom was already jumped in your spirit.
Right.
You were already there before you got there. You just decided to, make that commitment, spiritual, legal, consummated for all, whatever your reasons were. So
no doubt. What do we got?
Definitely something to be intentional about in talking to your spouse. Don't think it's a given that they'll wear it, and don't think it's a given that they're cheating if they don't. Just don't leave it to assumption, because it can leave room for arguments they're unnecessary. Just find out what your shared philosophy is there, and get on common ground.
Cousin said, yes, I experienced that too. However, when I was single, there were not a lot of men chasing me. However, when I got married, it seemed like it became open season. So clearly those were probably men that were like, well, I can be with her and do what I do. Some men be like, hey, she ain't happy in her marriage. They automatically assume things. So, I can be that happiness for her and send her back to her husband. You got guys with ego. You got women with ego. You have people that live in that ego, and they think that, I can do what he ain't gonna do. It's about the chase. It's about the conqueror. It's about all of that.
And Mom, I'm telling you that sometimes we have like a confidence, or like we can be even more of ourselves in the confines of our relationship, because it's like, oh, this person has my back. They're my protector now. So we might even be exuding a different confidence, a different energy too.
I like that.
Within the marriage. So there could be two things going on there. That's something we'd have to explore more.
So when you get married, you may be kind of like, exuding this different confidence, this different, and they may see that and want to be a part of that because you are being supported and being.
Now, just something to think about.
I mean,
that could be a little bit of both.
I like
Eddie came in with something. Rings look good on the fingers, truly. Never had one for marriage though. But keeping a ring on speaks for you in one way. From time wasting with some other guy or lady thinking of coming into your life while you got your special someone already. She is beautiful. I know people will try to come in. I think we should both put it on most of the times when we can. We are halfway protecting our marriage, slowing temptation, and we are not and we are not perfect. Let's give chance to those, and what does that say at the end?
To lose the best things that happen to us.
Right. So I guess Eddie's saying wearing that ring will kind of just taper off issues, insulate the marriage. I could dig that, Eddie. I see what you're saying. Like, don't leave it up to question. If you get ahead of it, why not? So that's
so she said, really, a ring doesn't typically change someone's character.
That was back to that point.
And it's not the ring. It's the person's perspective of the ring. There are people, man, when they say, once I walk down that aisle, that is it. There are some people that are like that. They are like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, whatever I want to do it. Once I get married and walk down that aisle, that's that. That's it. All of that, do what I want to do is out the window. It depends. Obviously, we sometimes mimic the images that we have in our lives. So sometimes if you had a mother and father or grandparents or aunt and uncle that were, or you may have a couple of them, right, in your family, they've been married for 30, 40 years. You like, I'm single. When I'm single, I do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want to do it. Once I get married, that is it. That's all out the door because you're mimicking these models that you have witnessed all your life. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you just make sure you're happy. That's all I would say. When you're mimicking someone else, you need to make sure that you are happy and that you're staying true and authentic to who you are, because you don't want to, be interacting with someone based on someone else's relationship.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we all do that to some degree and kind of sift through the wheat from the chaff, like what's me and what's something that I just picked up, and that's really somebody else's relationship.
Yeah.
Cousin with Tasha said, I walked down the aisle as God was telling me not to get to the end of the aisle. The ring never changed the core of the problems.
Wow.
Good point. I remember when we were first engaged in that year, like 3 close couples to us got like divorced, split up, or annulled, like right within the first year or two of their marriage. And it was so troubling to me. And when I was able to just sit down and like really have a moment of intimacy, the common theme that I took away was something that was already occurring before saying I do continued.
Yep.
And there was an expectation that it wasn't.
Right. That it would change. Whatever there was a flaw or problem that they failed to address, or maybe they addressed it but never corrected it, it carried on to after the I do's, and it actually became even kind of like it ballooned. It actually became like it blew up and became the focal point of the reason why they weren't together anymore, like going to sign divorce papers.
Yeah. So that's why we became so passionate about it, because I'll tell you this. I am fine with life partnership too. If you decide that you never say I do, but we have some precious pearls in our sorority that's like the golden jewels of our church organization. And one shared with me, she said, I was married for 35 like plus miserable years. Got, separated from that husband, and then had a life partner that she never married. They stayed together until death, and it was the best relationship.
Wow.
It was the sweetest relationship, golden years of her love life. And I just took that with me because I was truly sitting at the foot of wisdom. So define for you what that looks like. Define
Absolutely.
for you what commitment looks like, and promise, and how you want to show up in your relationship, in your life. Is there any other comments you want to read before we get out of here?
Auntie says, wow, it's a commitment you make to each other, and you support through the good and definitely the not so good. And I think that's so true. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to know you. And that's why it's so important a lot of times that you wait. And that's why we talk about a lot of times not getting in a relationship and moving in and getting married so young, because there's a lot of times, not all the times, because there are definitely some people that have done it young and stayed married and are doing great, right? And we can learn from them. But a lot of times, you don't really know you. So if you don't really know you, how can you really expect to learn someone else? Because then it's hard for you to tell them, hey, this is how I want you to love me, because you really don't know what you love or dislike or don't like. So that's why it's important that you spend some time with that person and really get to know them. Unc said, I respect the agreement that couples make regarding the wearing of a ring, which can mean a lot to a woman and a man who is in love with his woman. For that man, it provides a focal point where he is no longer blurry-eyed, but single vision.
Oh.
And the ring serves as a reminder, which we will all need from time to time. When I first moved to New York, I sold my car to buy my wife her engagement ring. I could do that because first I was in New York and had public transportation, but it signified my commitment and the sacrifices I was willing to make for our union nearly 20 years later. And so there it is once again. What that sounds to me is that was important to you to do for your significant other, but it also had something in you that said, with this ring, so when you said that, with this ring I thee wed, when you go through all of that, that really meant something. That was a foundation for you to build upon. And we're not knocking that. We are not, we actually applaud that. And I'm saying to all relationships and to all people, what's best for you,
Yeah, because at the same time, I don't want anybody feeling bad if they haven't got that ring.
There we
their
go.
Stuff is locked tight.
There we go.
Or my when my man can, he is. Like, there was a gap between when it was sold and when the ring came,
right.
And I'm sure that commitment was there before and then continued after. But there is something I will say to men and women living together, and I know a lot of families start to put that pressure on, like, when you gone. And I would say make sure you guys get on the same page during that gap, because it can cause a lot of stir. It can get to the point where you stop going to the family functions because you don't want to hear Big Mama or Auntie and them ask you when y'all gonna get married,
right?
Or you've been with this guy long enough. I just say what's for you is for you. So everybody just stand confidently and wherever you stand on the ring or not the ring subject.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you need to ask that. So that's the title of our Core of You Friday today is to ring or not to ring. What is good for you in your relationship? If you're with somebody, if you're with a woman or if you're with a man and they're like, no, we have to have it, it must stay on, then if you really love that person and want to be there and stick around and not and keep peace, then you need to do that. For us, it's not a major thing in our relationship. We do it, we have it. And like I said,
I did cry like a fool when he gave it to me.
But did you cry? Did you cry about the ring or the commitment I was making to you?
I cried about the commitment you were making. I was just like, what is all of this? I was just overwhelmed with the whole situation. It was just a lot on it.
Auntie said he remembers being at one of my. Wait, I missed that. He remembers being at one of my Christmas parties. And he wanted me to introduce him as my fiance prior to giving me that ring. I refused to say he was until he did. See, and there it is. There it is. So
this opens up a lot. Too.
Yeah, you better have sold that car because you wanted to be recognized when you was at parties and stuff. And then Auntie Priscilla said, I really like wearing my ring, having a husband that treats me like he has a wife. And I think that's what it's really, something else. Yeah. Makes me treasure my ring. So the actions, so it's not the ring that makes me treasure my husband, it's the actions that makes me treasure my ring. It's the actions of my husband. Right? And so that's where I am, because listen, because I made enough mistakes in my life. And when I talk to wifey about it, I'm like, listen, this is who I was. This is what happened in my past. This is what went on. We can do this, this way, or you can allow me to love you and treat you like the queen you deserve to be treated like. And it doesn't matter where I go, what I'm doing. Here's my, my phone, my passwords, if you need all that, you know what I mean? So there are those things that you have to put in place in your relationship. And I love it. I mean, obviously, my Uncle Joe and Aunt Pam, they've been married longer than us.
They about to be on 20.
They about to be on 20, so and we just made it to 9, and about to get to 10 next year. So look at that, right? So I wouldn't dare tell them you guys shouldn't focus on the ring. They've done it. They've been there.
It works.
And it works. I've also known people, as wifey said, that didn't get married at all. Just had a life partner is what they called it. And it worked. I also know people that just call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend for life, and it worked. I also know some people that paid tens of thousands of dollars for their ring, and it didn't work. They were like getting divorced before the ink, was dried on the marriage certificate. So it's all about you and your relationship. What I will say, and what's the common ground, is this: if it's not rooted and founded and grounded in love and integrity and in faithfulness, it doesn't matter what you pay for a ring. It doesn't matter what you have on. It's not going to work.
Well, hey, y'all, that's what's the beauty of being in this community. We got people who can support you in either stance.
Love it.
And we did not intend to go this long, but we've all been just vibing off of one another, and it's been amazing.
Absolutely.
And what I will say, whatever is your end goal, get you some people going in that same direction with you. It'll help insulate your situation.
Absolutely.
And I just want to remind you guys, continue to join us weekly here on Facebook, IG. We got it going on both places at TheCoreofU. We're on YouTube. Subscribe. Thank you to those that are with us. We're going to be acknowledging you all that are on the YouTube channel with us, as well as the website. If you want a prayer request, go on the website. Still support my co-authors and I for the Phenomenal Women. Got on Jewelry by Jay. Support your small businesses. If you know somebody that has a small business or entrepreneur, support them. Let's support each other, y'all. We are building a spiritual, natural, financial kingdom. So let's continue to share information, elevate. And as my husband says, we hope you have what?
Peace in your heart and in your home. All right. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing,
we got one more comment that
peace-filled weekend. Auntie Crystal says a ring means nothing. It's the love behind the ring.
Good point.
And that's what we've been talking about today. For some people, that ring means everything. So we're not trying to discourage if you wear a ring. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that. We aren't trying to encourage you to do what's best for you. Don't allow other people to frame what a relationship should be like for you in your relationship. You can absolutely learn from people, right? Oh man, wow. Listen, we got legends in the room. Pamela Lucas say 44 happy and blessed years and love it. You know what I mean?
And Cousin Ty was in the building.
I love that, man. 44 happy and blessed. I mean,
in the community, y'all, that's powerful. When you got folks in the community going on 44, you just gotta
that's what it's
call
all
them
about.
Up sometime.
That's what it's all about.
Or slide in their DM.
Absolutely.
Ask them how they do it.
Absolutely. So we love y'all, man. If you're supposed to have your ring on, have it on. But more importantly, make sure you love the person you say you're committed to. And if you're not committed to anybody, love yourself. Ooh, if you are committed to somebody, make sure you love yourself as well. Ooh. Because sometimes we love everybody else on the outside and we neglect ourselves. Yes. That's really what we're talking about today. To ring or not to ring, That is the
The
question.
question.
All right, y'all have a good Friday. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.